Hey guys, welcome to the ATA Talk episode 1. We welcome you all. I'll just do a quick round of introductions and then I'll hand it over to Pallavi. Uh, all right, guys. So, as you guys are already aware, we have started this initiative, and the idea is that we want to share our knowledge, ideas, thoughts, uh, problem solving ideas, something which is new and innovative. We want to make sure that this community of thought leadership can be developed. It's not about me or Pallavi, it's about everybody. We want everybody to step up and be a part of the thought leadership that ATA is all about. Everybody is welcome. And I would show you some numbers as well quickly on the first initiative or the first episode registration that we had. There were 63 responses in all, out of which 75% odd are from testing community. And we did ask that, do you want to be a speaker in ATA Talk? This question got added little later. So out of 63, 58 people responded, and out of which 19% said yes. So I'm hoping that this ATA Talk, which we plan to do every fortnight, once in 2 weeks, we have got speakers definitely coming in, and from the community itself. These are some of the topics that we received interest, where we received interest from the registrations. We hope that we can pick one of these for our next ATA Talk episode 2. So I would like to thank everybody who registered and everybody who has taken time out to be part of this wonderful session. And episode 1 is about exceptions in Selenium. It's going to be an interesting one, and it would be by none other than Pallavi Sharma. She is our opening batsman, like Sachin Tendulkar, like Sehwag, or for example, our Shubman Gill of today. And she is representing Five Elements Learning. A big welcome and a round of applause for Pallavi. Pallavi, we really are indebted by your support. And guys, let me quickly talk about what she's going to talk about, and I will hand over to Pallavi after that. So Pallavi will be talking about exception handling techniques, and especially not only in one but a few languages as well. And hopefully you will all get a chance to interact with her. Uh, a warm welcome to Pallavi. Pallavi is a thought leader. Pallavi is a community-based thought leader. She does a lot of our boot camps in Java, Python. She is a licensed trainer for ATA, for CPSAT, and she is a conference speaker and a jury member, and does a lot for the community. A warm applause and a warm welcome to you, Pallavi.
So thank you so much, everyone who all have joined today for the first talk by the Agile Testing Alliance, the ATA Talk Initiative. And our topic for today is we are going to talk about exceptions in Selenium. So not taking too much of your time, I would like to jump into the discussions part of it and start discussing about our topic for today. During the discussion, I would just have a small request to make that I'll try and take some logical break as I am discussing, and if in case you have any thought to make, any comment to make, any question you want to ask as I am discussing something, please feel free to communicate. Let's make it an interactive session, and I also hope to learn along with you as we discuss about exceptions in Selenium as we work with this wonderful tool. So before I begin with the session and I start talking about the exceptions part of Selenium, can you tell me, is there anyone who does not know what Selenium is or has never worked on Selenium before? If there is no one, I'll just, and if you have worked with it, just say yes. So, I'll just get a overall view of the people who are attending.
Yeah, we know about it.
Okay, Sneha, thank you for sharing that information. Okay, so
Yeah, I know.
primarily, okay, so primarily I'm going to talk about, considering everybody of us know and hear about Selenium. You have some work experience or the other with Selenium, and if you don't have it, then the intention of the session is not to talk about Selenium per se. So, and secondly, the primary language in which I'll be showing you some examples would be in Java. Okay, so that would be the primary language of choice. And as much as possible, I'll try to tell you with respect to some other language as we come across it. Okay, so what we are going to talk about is we are going to define exceptions and error. We are going to look at the types of exceptions which we come across in Selenium, and we will try to replicate a few of them, see where and how we come across them, and how we can handle them. So as we learn programming, as we start with the any tool, any technology in which a programming language is used, or even if we start learning programming, we cannot take the full benefit of learning that language or that tool if we start avoiding the exceptions or the errors which we see or which come across or which are thrown at us as we are working towards solving a problem at hand. Secondly, what we should be aware of is that it is almost the best way to learn about the different real-time scenarios which you can face, which your end customers can face, and we should try and learn as possible through the exceptions and the errors and try our best to make sense out of them so as to understand why was it thrown in the first place and then make a new mistake, at least not repeat the same mistake. So error and exception, and an exception, we generally have something called as checked and unchecked exception. Anyone who knows about what is checked and what is unchecked exception? Anyone would like to talk about it? Share that information. So a checked exception is an exception which your compiler detects. Okay. So a compiler is detecting that exception because it is foreseeing that the code which we have written is going to throw an exception at us. Okay. An unchecked exception is a runtime exception which the compiler can't detect. So I'll quickly give you an example. For example, let us say that, I'm making a class in here. And I add in here thread.sleep. Now, as I try to add thread.sleep in here, this line comes as in a that it is going to, or it is an error situation. So it is asking me to handle an unhandled type of exception, interrupted exception. So it is asking me to either add a throws declaration or surround this code with try catch. Okay. So in this situation, this is known as a checked exception, where the compiler has detected that the type of code we are trying to write is going or may cause exception, in the random scenario. So it is pointing us to put it inside a try catch or throw. The second type of exception, which is known as a runtime exception or an unchecked exception, is where the compiler doesn't know that there could be an error and it can't point you out to it. Okay, so that's an unchecked exception. For example, division by 0, or a very common exception type is array index out of bound. Here we will get a division by 0 exception, but the compiler can't detect it. Okay, we don't have anybody telling us that this can cause us an exception. So this is an unchecked exception example. So what is an error and what types of errors we will come across as we are doing our work? An error is an unexpected condition which can be caused by a programmer of the system due to lack of resources. And what is a programming error? Generally, it can be categorized into three categories: syntax error, runtime error, or logical error. A syntax error is effectively an error which is made at the syntax level of the code. Okay, so every language has their own grammar. If you have made a error which is syntactically incorrect with that programming language, so that's a syntax error. For example, in Java, I am trying to use a variable without defining it. Okay, this is an example of a syntax error in Java. Okay. In Python, a good example of syntax could be you're writing an if condition and here you just have your statement. So Python doesn't like it. It asks you to give a tab. So this is an example of a syntax error in Python. Then you have got a runtime error. A runtime error is an error in which your program may look like absolutely fine, but at the time of execution, it is generating a condition. Okay, it is generating a situation for us where the the interpreter or the compiler is forced to throw an exception at us. Okay, so for example, division by 0 is an example of a runtime error. Array index out of bounds is an example of a runtime error. File not found is an example of a runtime error. These are all examples of your runtime errors. One of the most difficult errors to fix are logical errors. The logical errors are those errors which are basically mistakes in your algorithm or your pseudocode. Now, why they are most difficult to fix? Because we first solve the logic part or the algorithmic part of the program, and then we should approach the actual coding part. So if we have understood, or if our solution itself is incorrect, that's an example of a logical error. For example, let's say I have to write down a program for printing the largest number between two numbers, and I write if a greater than b. Again, this is generally caused by mistakes done by programmer, and I say print print b is greatest. Now this program, no matter how many times I try to fix it, will always throw me a logical error because this condition is wrong. Okay, so this is an example of a logical error, and it is one of the, all of them are mistakes done by programmers, and logical errors are comparatively difficult to fix in case it is not a simple logic issue. Now, what is an exception? An exception is issue in a program that can cause disruption in the normal execution of the program. And it can be handled by using different programming keywords. Okay, so and in ideal situations, they should be handled specifically in a scenario of test automation. Okay, can you give me one reason why exception handling is important in a test automation scenario? One reason. Any reason which comes to your mind?
We do not want to like fail all our scripts. If there are some predictable exceptions, we can handle them so that the upcoming script may run smoothly.
Very well read, Sneha. That's a very good answer. Anyone else?
We don't want to sprint the common known errors, but we want to customize the output basically.
Okay,
If you know,
that's
but
also
we want to print more beautiful log statements to understand
okay.
it more.
That's a good answer. So debugging becomes easy, and also it's easy to figure out quickly where what issue has come. That's a good answer, Mrinal. Better interactivity for user. Fine. So one of the reasons which I think is very important is because most of our test automation is supposed to run in an unattended mode. Okay. So nobody is going to sit and monitor the executions because that's the objective of doing automation in the first place. Okay. So when that is the objective, and most of our test automation, or rather all of it, is supposed to run in an unattended mode, we should be able to write intelligent code or smart code which is able to take care of itself in case it has encountered an error. And one of the ways is by doing exception handling. So what Sneha has said, Mrunal has said, Atif is telling us, these are our valid points. So for example, let us say we have got 100 test cases. I'm picking up the example Sneha gave. In the 100 test cases, let's say the first 10 test cases require a file to be used. And then, you move on to the rest 90 test cases execution. And we forgot to put any exception handling code for file not being available, and we forgot to put a file in the location expected. So if our code has not smartly been configured to handle such a type of situation, we will be left with almost 99 test cases as not being executed, waste of time, not a good type of output in test automation, because time is an asset and we want to save it. But if in case we were smart enough to handle that situation, at least 90 test cases would have executed whether pass or fail. Those that fail with good logs, so that our debugging time got reduced, as Mrunal said. And yes, better interactivity for the user. In this case, the user is somebody who is writing this test automation framework, or is a user of a test automation framework who is trying to find out the stability of your build, etc., your management or whoever it is. Okay, so all these points are important. So what is Selenium? Okay, before I jump into exception handling in Selenium, what is one definition what is one statement which defines Selenium? What is it?
Collection of
Is
APIs
automation
which
testing
is
tool.
Okay. Yes, Neha.
yeah, it's an open source collection of APIs which is used for web application testing.
Okay. Anyone else? Would you all like to open the website of Selenium? Okay, go ahead and open the website of Selenium, selenium.dev. There is only one statement written about Selenium. Would you like to tell me after reading it from there what is Selenium?
It says Selenium automates only web.
Okay.
Yeah, Selenium automates browsers. That's it.
Yes. So Selenium website, or the creators of Selenium, basically talks about Selenium, that it is something which automates browser. That's it. What you do with it is entirely up to you. It's not a test automation framework. It is a collection of, yes, APIs. It's a collection of modules. It's a collection of lot of classes, interfaces in various programming languages, which is made available to you within an objective that you can automate your browser. Okay, that's all Selenium is. And it supports various programming languages. So you have Selenium jars in Java, you have Selenium module in Python, you have a Selenium nugget package in C Sharp, you have a gem of Selenium in Ruby, and you have a module of Selenium in your JavaScript. Okay, so these are the various language bindings of Selenium which exist. Each of them have their API documentation available, which we can further read about and further find information about. And the implementation of Selenium is same across all these languages. Okay, it is same. What is the most used language for Selenium? Java, Python, Ruby, in that order. C Sharp, sorry, before Ruby it is C Sharp. And JavaScript, since you have a lot of other tools also available in JavaScript, JavaScript usage is also popular, but there are other tools which take over Selenium in that situation. Okay. So in all these languages, the implementation of Selenium libraries is same. The syntax will change, the usability will change as we are going to use it. So the types of exceptions or the names of exceptions which we are going to discuss, we will find it mostly across all languages. Okay. So there is a class, there has to be a class available in any implementation of Selenium, whether it is Java or Python or Ruby or C Sharp, called as WebDriver exception, or a similar naming class. Okay. And this class contains all the exceptions which are implemented and can occur while working with Selenium. Details of these exceptions or the types of exceptions can be found in this link. So let's go to this link to find out what are the types of exceptions which can come up as we are working with Selenium. Oh, file not found. I've moved on. Okay, just give me a second. Let me go to it and get it. Okay, I'll come to that link as I discuss this so as to show you the packages. So this information which I'm deriving is from this link. So I will share the working link. Okay, sorry about this. So Selenium WebDriver exception is the class in which all the exceptions of Selenium which can be encountered while we are working with Selenium is made available. And these are the important packages which in which this WebDriver exception is used. So you have the org open QA Selenium package, the DevTools package, Firefox, Grid Distributor, Interactions, JSON, Remote, Safari, Support Events, and Support UI. These are the various or the packages in which this WebDriver exception is primarily called. Now, the types of exception. Most of the types of exception which can come across while working with Selenium is defined to us in this package, org.openqa.selenium. Okay. So in this implementation of Selenium, this is with respect to Java, we find the most of the exceptions which are available or most of the exceptions which are implemented. For example, element not interactable exception. It thrown to indicate that the element, though is present in DOM, it is not in a state to be interacted with. Element not visible exception. It is thrown because the element is hidden and thus you can't interact with it. JavaScript execution error. No alert present exception. It is generally thrown when you are expecting a pop-up to come, a JavaScript pop-up to come, but there is no such alert present. No such session exception. It is generally thrown by the command WebDriver quit. So after your driver session is closed and still you are trying to do some work with the WebDriver, in that situation, we will get thrown no such exception. No such element is one of the most common exception which you come across because based upon the locator information, if the information for creation of locator is correct, but the element does not exist on page, we may come across no such element exception. Stale element reference exception, it is generally found when the element has lost its association with the document object model. Timeout exception is thrown when we are having some synchronization issues. Okay, so these are the various exceptions, rather majority of them, which are found in the org.openqa package. Similarly, DevTools, Firefox, Grid, JSON, Remote, Safari, Support Events, Support UI also have different types of exceptions available, but their number is less, okay, comparatively less. So we are going to pick up some exception examples. The first is I'm going to pick up the category of not found exceptions. Okay. In the not found exceptions, we are going to see no alert present, no such element, such frame, and no such window. And then we are going to see two other exception examples, tail element and element not interactable. But before we get into this, anyone has any question? Anything you would like to ask? Okay. So let us see examples of not found exception. No alert, no such element, no such frame, and no such window. Let's pick up the first one, no element exception. So the no element exception is found in situations where we are trying. So to create this exception, I took a negative scenario. I'm trying to identify an element which doesn't exist. But in real time, you will come across this situation when, let's say you are working with your web application, but your page is not loaded properly and you are trying to identify the object, or you have created a bad locator, not in a bad locator, the syntax of the locator is wrong, but the information you gave for the web element, it no longer exists. Like for me, although I'm getting a 404 error, so similarly your object is no longer present on the page. Okay, so we will take a small application as our demo site just to for the sake of few examples, and for one or two examples I'll be changing website to show you this. Now in this application there is no link which appears with the text junk. Okay, there is no link on this home page which appears with the text junk. So if I'm trying to find a link with the text junk, okay, links are identified by the link text and I'm wanting to click on it, this is going to throw me an element not found exception. So the type of exception this code is going to throw me is no such element exception, unable to locate the element using link text. So value is, the method is link text and the data is junk. To handle the exception, the methodology of handling the exception is based upon the programming language we use. It is not based upon the tool we are using, which is Selenium in here. So Selenium is not providing us with the methodology of exception handling. The exception handling part, or the way you want to handle the exception, is supposed to be done by the programming language we are using. So for Java, it is try catch. If you had written, it is same for C# as well. Okay, the try catch remains same. Try and except are the keywords which we use for Python. For Java and C# it is same. For Python we use try and except. So inside the catch block, we create a object of not found exception. And if that is thrown, we are going to print the information here. I could have also created the generic exception class object, but since I am specifically taking this example and I have created this scenario, I knew I would get a not found exception. Again, this is an exception class which is found here inside this package. Okay, org.openqa.selenium not found exception. Let's see if I'm able to go here. Okay. 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 Great. Selenium for today decided that all the links will give 404 error. Sorry, I can't help it. I'll try and see if I can get to the Python website, or all their documentations are not working maybe. Okay. I'll go back to here. I'll just report the issue to the Selenium community. Fine. So we have a no element example. Let's move on to the other types of not found exception, which is no such alert or no alert present exception. Now, when we come to handling of alerts, windows or frames, what type of command do we use for Selenium? What type of command do we use in Selenium to shift our focus?
Switch to.
Switch to, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the switch to command is basically used to switch to an alert, okay? A new window and a frame if a frame exists on the page. So how do we handle such situation? So if you have created an alert object, okay, if you are working with a web application where you are expecting an alert, but the alert doesn't come up. So if you are trying to create this alert object at this plate itself, if within the time period the alert doesn't come up, it will throw you a not found exception, which in this case would be no alert found. Now, can you tell me that how do I take care of time in here?
WebDriver wait.
Right. So is there a expected conditions command which will help me to gauge the presence of alert?
I think wait for alert to be present.
Yes, you are right. So here you may observe, first of all, this website will not have any alerts being popped out. Okay. So deliberately there is this thread.sleep put in here so as to cause a little amount of wait and then wait for this alert object to come up. Okay. Now, better way to handle this situation in your real-time code in which you are expecting your website to make available an alert and handle it. Okay, in that situation, you will use definitely WebDriver wait and expect conditions where you would like to wait for an alert to be present. But in this situation, no alert is going to pop up. It might wait for 2 seconds forcefully right now. It's a static wait. But since no alert will come up, it is going to throw me a no such alert found exception. Okay, so I get this exception, no such alert. Now, since I have put up a try catch block, my browser is getting closed. I will be able to move on to the new test case. Also, my system is exiting with a good message, which is ex.get message. This messaging part for this exception is obviously implemented by the WebDriver exception class of Selenium, but handling is being done in Java. In the same manner, you will have no such frame exception. In this, I have taken an example of this website. Let's go here for this website. This website, it says it contains an iframe, which contains the tiny, what you see is what you get editor. Okay, so if I right click and say view, not view page source, that will be too tedious. Let's try to inspect. So here we will see that there is an iframe which exists, which can be recognized by using iframe ID MCEO or MCE0 IFR. Now, what is that I have used? Deliberately, I have used the name property to identify this frame, frame 1. Again, frame 1 doesn't exist. Okay. So when you try to work with this type of this type of situation where the locator information either you gave for frame or maybe your frame has not loaded properly or you are trying to find out a frame but you gave a bad information, you will get an exception, no frame element found by name or ID frame 1. Okay. So this type of exception is found when we are trying to work with frames, but that frame information which you are trying to switch on to doesn't exist or is unavailable. Now we will come to talk a little bit about stale element exception. Okay. And there are a lot of articles, if you find it out on websites, on different websites, which talk about stale element exception. By the way, what is the name of one good website you should go to if you if you encounter error or exceptions? Can you name that website? Don't say Google. Google is definitely there, but what generally it points out to? Thanks, Rajesh. So this is working. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for this. So most of the information is found in the Stack Overflow website. Okay. If you find a solution on Stack Overflow, and most of the times you will find, okay, most of the times you will find a solution on Stack Overflow. Okay. And if you simply copy paste the message which is being thrown at you on Google, it will take you to all these various websites, Stack Overflow being the most helpful one, where issues are discussed and most of the time solutions are provided. Secondly, specific to Selenium, okay, you should join the Selenium Google group or the Selenium Slack channel, which is very helpful in the terms of providing us help if we encounter any issues while working with Selenium and we need some help in there. Now, the stale element exception, which I am going to show you, is here on this website, there is a drop down which talks about different manufacturers. Now, as I try to search for a manufacturer, this information is displayed. But when I work with same on Selenium, now the reference of this element to this particular browser is lost. So if I want to search in the same test information associated with another manufacturer, it will throw at me stale element exception, okay, which basically means that the reference of this element to the DOM is lost. So this element is like hanging now. It doesn't have its parent DOM available. So there are different ways which have been mentioned to put it in a try catch, to iterate again, to put a wait and then try and relate your element again, or to again give the element the same definition through which you made the element in the first place so that it gets associated with its parent DOM. So how have we handled it? First of all, let's try to get this exception. Let's first get this exception. So in this, I have created a array of all the manufacturers which I would want to search. I have taken 4 manufacturers. Okay. Then I have created a select object and I have created a for loop in which I would want to run the selection on the drop down for every manufacturer. Okay. So I say select by visible text and I pass on the manufacturer. Now, once the manufacturer is selected, I would want to go back so that I can run the search for the next manufacturer until my for loop is there for the array. And then finally, I would like to close. So there are two things to notice. That first of all, the code has not worked in the manner. It worked for one search string, and then it did not work. Secondly, my browser also was not closed. Why the browser did not get closed on its own?
Because we did not handle the exception.
Yeah, so we did not handle the exception. So which line will generate an exception? So this exception is generated at which line? Can you also tell me that?
Select by visible text.
Yes, very good. This line number 27. will cause the exception. So since the exception is thrown and the code now does not know what to do with it, so it throws it to the operating system, okay, and thus we get this exception thrown at us. And the exception is stale element reference exception, okay. If you read it, element is not attached to the page document. Now you can simply copy this exception information and try to search for the types of solution which makes, which becomes available to you. Can say how to handle. So you will generally find Stack Overflow as, and it's a pretty, there has been so many discussions being happening, a lot of people writing about it. So one way or the other will definitely work for your situation. And if it doesn't work, you always have the Selenium Slack channel or the Google group to talk to the community there. So now how do we handle this exception? So to handle this exception, first of all, did you notice that I have not put any try catch here? So is it a good thing? No, it's not. I should have put a try catch here, but I was just lazy, so I did not do it. Not a good programming practice, okay? But nevertheless, this by associating the element again to the reference of how it was created in the first place will fix this error. So every time inside the for loop, as the driver navigates back to the browser, I have to reattach my drop down back to the I have to reattach my drop down element, or I have to recreate the instance of the drop down element again and again. So my stale element reference exception has disappeared. But okay, another question is, what is a good place to put the try catch block? Should I put the try catch block here itself because my code starts? Should I put it when when I start talking to the browser? Where should your try catch be? So our try catch is generally put in the code where the logic is. When you have declarations there, you don't put try and catch. There is not a good place to put try and catch. Putting try catch or exception handling in the code is heavy, okay? So in that situation, you generally put your try catch block of codes where your logic is, okay? Or where you are trying to interact with some external sources which may or may not cause erroneous situation or exception, or wherever you think you can encounter an exception. In those places, you should put try catch and avoid declarations. So your entire code is never inside try catch, okay? You don't put your entire code which you have created inside try catch. Any questions in here so far? So I have one type of exception left to show you guys. So this link which is shared by Rajesh, it talks about exceptions of Selenium, okay, but with respect to Python as a language. So Java has something similar. If you click on the source, it will take you to how this exception is created. So for example, class insecure certificate exception, it is a child of WebDriver exception. So in Python also you have WebDriver exception available. And this is where this information is coming from. So I'll share this link, at least you have some form of looking at the exceptions, and hopefully the other links will also work. Okay, so let's talk about element not interactable. Let's take a demo. Let's look at the application which I want to show you, in which I have recreated this scenario. So this is an interesting website. Okay, it's also an interesting website to practice developments in XPaths. So here there are different types of drop downs available with series of options. But the interesting part is you cannot select any of the information from the given drop downs by using the select keyword. Okay, you have to use another way to work with the options available in the drop down. So one such drop down shown in here is skills. If I right click and say inspect, let's see what it shows me. It shows me it is a select element. It has got the name as skills. It allows more than one option to be selected. It has all these options available. Okay. But if I try to create an element of this select and I try to say select by visible text or select by index, it will throw me an element not interactable exception. What is another way to figure out if the element is not interactable? So an element which is hidden, if the value of is displayed comes to us as false. In that situation, the element, though it exists in the DOM, though you can see it in the document object model, it's hidden, its visibility is set to false. In that situation, Selenium will not be able to interact with it. Okay. Some people try the jQuery approach to make the element visible and then work with it. But most of the times, if that's the situation, Selenium will not be able to interact with that element. In this situation, happen. So I will not share the actual solution because it would be an interesting problem for anyone to figure out. Okay, so I'll hide it up. So you can figure it out how you can select from this drop down, okay, without being able to work through the normal drop down selection process. So the type of exception, again, because I have figured out whether it displays it says true or false, and then I was going to work. So if I say select by visible text in here, okay, I'll get an exception. So let's say I try to put this line here. In this situation, I will get a element not interactable exception. Again, we will note that driver.close will not get executed because we have not put try catch. So our code will throw an exception and will kill itself. So we get element not interactable exception in here. So if I put my code inside a try catch block, I should be able to have some better message available. So I can say try catch. So now my browser should quit itself. Okay, and I should get the exception also printed. Okay, so that's all we have for today. So do you guys have any questions, anything you would like to know about or anything to discuss?
Yeah, I have one question, Sufyan here.
Yes,
Pallavi,
Sufyan.
you you were mentioning in the stale element exception that since you did not demonstrated the try catch area, so so can you like please move to the code where the stale element exception was demonstrated?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, what I was thinking is that after line number 25, since we have a for loop here, so if I do the try catch after line number 25, since you were saying that it would be applicable with where our logic is being written right now. So till line number 25, we have our object creation sort of thing for the select. So after
Mm-hmm.
line number 25, if I decided to uh, do the try catch thing,
Mm-hmm.
so will I be doing it inside the for loop or above the for loop?
Okay. There could be more than one try catch at the code level. Okay. This should also be inside try catch, because this can throw you an array index out of bound exception. We are using an array in here. Okay. So if I say this less than equal to, so while
Mhm.
working with Selenium, okay, we have to keep in mind both the types of exceptions which can come up. Through the programming we are doing, the logic building, the language itself. And secondly, the issues which interaction with the browser can cause, which is in here through Selenium. Okay. So it is okay to have a try catch inside another try catch. And generally, when you look at from the architecture point of view, okay, for example, in here, in here, if, okay, I can just comment this out, everything, and it will throw me an array index bound of exception. So generally what happens is that, let's say you have a page object model created. Okay, so you have created a layering at your code. It's not that everything is written in a single script. It's not a good way to write down your program. Okay. So
Mhm.
in that situation, your try catch or your exceptions could be thrown to your main calling methods. And there it is at least easy to find out, getting lost in a lot of try catch is not a good idea too.
Okay, so you are saying that maybe this particular logic to select a particular element will be in a particular paged file, and from that page file, the calling object would be our test class, so we can like convey our exception back to the calling code.
Right. So for example, here, this is hard coded right now. In a better practice, you would have picked it from an external data file and then handled
Mhm.
the exception for this in that file, or wherever your set of classes for data handling would have been written. So in here, there are two logics. To simplify my answer, in here, if you just keep it in this manner, you also have to handle array index out of bound exception. You will also have to handle element not found exception. You will also have to
Mhm.
handle stale element exception. So you can, even in this, 30 lines of code, find out so many exceptions which can come up.
Yeah, yeah, I got that. So to summarize what I understood from as a difference between stale element and no such element exception is that stale element would come um, when the code tries to re-find an element which it previously found,
Yeah,
and
well said.
and no such element exception would appear right up front when the first time an element was when it's trying to find an element for the first time.
Very well said, Sufyan. Definitely, you are absolutely right. On spot. Thank you for saying that.
All right, thank you.
Hey, hi Pallavi, Huzaifa here.
Hi, Josefa.
Yeah, Pallavi, can you just show the same code again, please, in
Yeah.
Eclipse? Yeah. So the thing is, see, whenever we write scripts, okay, so this driver, the get, and all this will be in one script only. usually.
Yeah.
Maybe this
Mhm.
URL will come from maybe some my properties file or something like that. But this code would be in one file. So here, if you see driver.get, here itself, I might get one exception if the URL is not correct, right? Here and
Formation of your URL is not to say.
yeah, if it is not correct, I might
Agree.
get the exception here itself. So right, starting from line number 23 to line number 31, all this we can put it in a one try block, and then put a one generic exception instead of putting multiple exceptions like stale element, etc. A generic exception catch. Would that do? Would that be a best practice?
Right. So a better way for this would be, I got your point. Very well said. So you say try, okay, and you put this code.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
you can have multiple exception layers in which your
Yeah,
generic
yeah,
exception is your last. So you have multiple catches for
yes,
the
yes,
same try.
yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly,
You meant
exactly.
that, right? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly,
That
exactly.
is also great. Great way to do it. Absolutely right. I agree with you.
Yeah, Pallavi, one more quick question. Since you have shown that code you have copied that code in the notepad where the following sibling part is written for the div. So just to clarify, what I understood from this is that um, maybe we are actually trying to click an element in reference to some parent element, if I understood that properly.
Yeah. So in X, you are talking about XPath creation
Yeah, the XPath seems to be created like it's
using
actually
XPath access.
yeah, it looks to me like that. Maybe that was something some other point that you were trying to convey.
No, I am not going to talk about XPath access in this session. It's
All
a
right,
pretty
no
big
problem.
topic.
Yeah,
But I
I
would
understood.
welcome any one of you. It's a great topic to talk about. There is a lot which can be discussed about XPath access. And one of the things which Selenium 4.0 is trying to solve is, bring this XPath access to the Selenium code. Okay, so you can basically use the relative locator concept. So XPath is basically, when you're in XPath, you can use relations with respect to one element. So you can have parent, child, ascendant, descendant, following,
Mm.
sibling. So Selenium 4.0 is trying to bring that within the locator by itself. So that's one of the big changes which will come in 4.0. But this itself is a good topic. And maybe I hope Aditya and the ATA will definitely want somebody from the community to talk about it.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate that if that's scheduled in future.
Sure. We take your feedback. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all for joining.